Hi, I'm Kurt Loder. Welcome to another edition of Famous Last Words. Our interview subject this time out is Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose, maybe the finest hard rock singer on the scene right now, and certainly the most charismatic. With their debut album Appetite for Destruction and its follow-up EP GNR Lies, two records that have sold more than 12 million copies, Guns N' Roses established itself as a band apparently capable of doing anything it set its collective mind to. Now hard at work on a long-awaited second LP due out in January, with former Cult drummer Matt Sorum recruited to replace the departed Steven Adler, Axl Rose took a couple of hours off recently to talk to us at the house in the Hollywood Hills he shares with his wife Erin, a place so new they had to buy lawn chairs for this backyard interview, which went like this. You had mentioned that you had some goals for this record. I mean, you guys are in a position where you're the hard rock band in the country, if probably not the world. Where do you go next? I mean, what are you trying to demonstrate?
There's lots of kinds of material. Basically, with all kinds of different reactions in the press and this and that, it was kind of like the only way to show where we've been and to make ourselves happy was to just try to put it all out. Try to put all the material out at once, which, 148 minutes, that hasn't really been done. I mean, Springsteen put out a 5-album box set, but it was live. It had been done over the years. Most of this is new material, and there's a couple cover tunes in it.
Is this album going to be also mixed up like GNR Lies? There's going to be a lot of acoustic stuff on it, too? Are there going to be different stylistic things going on?
Yeah, there'll be a few acoustic things. There'll be some songs that are acoustic going into electric, back to acoustic and stuff like that. I actually play guitar on a couple songs for the first time. I can only play 2 strings, but it's some pretty cool punk rock type stuff.
Well, how come Steven left the band at this critical juncture?
Steven didn't leave the band.
Or how come you and
Steven was fired.
Oh, okay.
Steven, we gave him every ultimatum. We tried working with other drummers. We had Steven sign a contract saying if he went back to drugs, then he was out. Yeah. He couldn't leave his drugs, and other things have happened involved with Steven, that Steven is basically someone I used to know. It makes me feel bad, but there's other things beside the band that he was involved in with his drugs that have been very dangerous and scary, and that I want nothing to do with him.
Is that what you were talking about when you were open for the Rolling Stones in L.A. last year? And you said somebody in this band has been dancing with Mr. Brownstone, essentially?
Oh, there was, majority of the band was at that time, or too much alcohol, or too much something. Me, I was eating too much or whatever, and just sitting on my ass too much.
Yeah. How's it going with the new drummer? Is he fitting right in? Or it must be very hard at this point to bring somebody new into the band, isn't it?
It was a miracle. Yeah. He has saved the band's life. He came in, he's in an up mood, he worked, he writes his own material. Yeah. He writes a lot, he works real well with us. He takes suggestions well, he keeps everybody in line, keeps the timing great. I mean, he played 29 songs in a month.
Yeah, you mentioned one of the covers you're doing is You Only Live Twice. Why that, of all the songs in the world?
No, Live and Let Die.
Oh, I'm sorry, Live and Let Die. That's right.
Live and Let Die. I don't know, I was watching I thought about it once a long time ago, but just thought you never will be able to get that the way it sounds. Yeah. It's done that well. And then I was watching, I'd rented the movie, and I was watching it, and I just went, this song sounds like Welcome to the Jungle too. It's like Now That You're Here. So, and it just felt right. So we ended up playing it a little bit in rehearsal, and it started working, and now that we actually have gone in and started recording it, we're finding out that, wait, we are good enough to play this song. Yeah. We didn't think we were. We didn't think we were good enough to get it down right. But Slash is doing most of the string arrangements on his guitar with a harmonizer. And it's kind of like, to me, it's like Tom Waits meets Metallica or something, because the way I sing it's so rough and scratchy, but, that I sound like Tom Waits or something on it, kind of. It's working out really good, and it sounds like us. Yeah. So I mean, everybody that hears it thinks that it sounds like the perfect song for us to do.
Have you got anything coming up? You had mentioned there's something on a song on this album that's coming up that might cause some problems, you think? Is there anything?
There's a song called Coma that is like 11 minutes and 45 seconds long with no chorus. Okay, and I think there was only one verse that like somewhat repeats itself. It's Slash's Baby. It's his monster. The song used to be called Girth. But I started writing about when I OD'd 4 years ago, and the reason I OD'd was because of stress. I couldn't take it.
Yeah.
And I just grabbed this bottle of pills in an argument and just gulped them down. Yeah. And I ended up in the hospital. But I liked that I wasn't in the fight anymore. And I was fully conscious that I was leaving.
Yeah.
I liked that. But then I go, all of a sudden my first real thoughts though were that, okay, you haven't toured enough, the record's not going to last, it's going to be forgotten, and this and that, you have work to do, get out of this. And I went, no, and I woke up, you know, and pulled myself out of it. But in the describing of that, some people could take it wrong and think this means go put yourself into a coma, you know, and so it's really tricky, and I'm still playing with the words to figure out how to like show some hope in there.
Yeah. You seem to have, I mean, from a couple of years ago, like ODing on pills, you've come a long way since then. Do you feel more settled down now? I mean, you seem pretty relaxed and together.
Yeah, but it's been a lot of work to do that because there's, you know, we got used to, like, as the Eagles would say, everything all the time.
As
and,
the Eagles would say.
You know, living that way and going for it, and all of a sudden you started to and then that's what got us here. That's what got us signed. That's what got us on top of things. And then you got to a point where you go, wait a minute. Everything that got me here is also starting to I'm starting to self-destruct. It's starting to tear up my life. I have to figure out how to channel my energies other directions. It's a weird one. Settling down is a weird one, you know.
You think it's just a function of like getting older and you know, learning more and being more aware of what's going on?
It's realizing there's life after, you know, 21, life after 25, life after 27. You know, 27 was the hardest year. I met Prince and I was talking with Prince and he was like, how old are you? 28? And he goes, last year was the hardest, wasn't it? And he was saying how 27 is like the bitch. It's the hardest year.
Really?
27 was definitely my hardest year.
Well, it's all behind you now.
Yeah, it's still a mess, but like I'm used to when it gets a mess.
Yeah. Did you consider that valid when people say, well, you're up there in front of kids, you have to set a good example? I mean, a lot of people say, well, no, I'm an artist, I don't have to set an example, I just do my art. I mean, how do you feel about that?
It's real tricky. When our first major tour was with Motley Crue, and the audience was younger than most audiences we played, like on the Aerosmith tour or in other tours or our own tours and the tours with the Cult. And it was real hard to do the song It's So Easy. Yeah. Because there's a line in there, I drink and drive and everything's in sight. We were talking about kind of how we got away with things and we're lucky to be here. It was real hard knowing that some of these kids would just go out and go, yeah, I drink and drive, everything's inside. I mean, Izzy put it best when he said, a lot of people think our record means, you know, party and do cocaine and rock and roll, and it's like, and that just ain't what it is. Yeah. And so Izzy was going to quit at one time because he didn't like the way people were reacting to it. Heard something on the radio last night when Frank Zappa broke up the Mothers, it was because people were clapping for all the wrong reasons. Yeah. It's hard when you know that you're doing your material and the audience, a majority of your audience, isn't getting what you meant.